From the News Channel 5 network, this is Inside Politics.
Hello, everyone. I'm News Channel 5's political analyst, Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. After 20 years as Nashville's Congressman Jim Cooper leaves Washington in just a few weeks. He's stepping down not because he was defeated for re-election, but because a Republican gerrymandering of Nashville into 3 districts led him to retire after 32 years in the House. Those years in the House, besides representing Nashville in the 5th District, come from him also serving 12 years in the old 4th District east of Nashville from 1983 to 1995. Jim Cooper's our guest on Inside Politics today to reflect one last time on the political scene and to look back on his distinguished career in public service. Congressman, since I've been on Inside Politics, which dates back to 2006, you've been perhaps the most frequently elected official I've had on the show. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Pat. It's always an honor to be with you.
The lame duck session of Congress is ongoing. Are you beginning to come to grips with leaving office, or are you packed up and ready to go?
I'm the happiest man you may have ever seen. You know, I just got remarried a few months ago. I've never really been a good politician. I've gotten elected a whole lot, but I've never really loved the profession. I try to be good at it, and I want to work hard for the people of Tennessee. But it's such an honor that they've put their trust in me for so many times.
You've not announced your next career move. Any hints today on what it might be, or any timetable for when you might be announcing a decision?
Well, thank you, Pat. I think it'll be a combination. I'll probably teach some. I want to go back into business, and I'm trying to finish a book right now. That's actually taking a lot of time. Is
the book on your life?
Well, it's mainly about creation of the Space Force. That's one of the last projects I was involved in, but it's the first new military service since the Air Force was created in 1947, and some people date it even deeper than that, all the way back to 1926.
A broader book on your life, particularly all the years of serving in Congress,
that might be kind of boring. I don't know. I don't know. I want something exciting.
Ever thinking about running again, or is this the end of it?
I got elected as the youngest congressman in America, so I've been luckier than I deserve, and it's time for another generation to take over. And I'm, of course, fully supportive of my brother, the mayor of Nashville, John Cooper. We've both been tag teaming in politics for a long time, and I really owe my start in politics to my brother's campaign managership.
Do you plan to stay active in politics and public life? And what about your cell phone? Are you going to change cell phone? You famously told all your constituents, here's my cell phone number if you need me. Are you going to change phone numbers now?
I am not, and the number is still 615-714-1719. Anyone's welcome to call. I won't be able to help you as much after January 3rd, but I'm a believer in staying in touch. You know, it's going to be interesting how things work out, but I do not want to hang around politics. I think that puts a damper on other people. It makes them too deferential. It's time for a new generation to take over, and they need to do that completely.
Now, you were born into a political family. Your father, Prentice Cooper, was governor of Tennessee during World War II. Your father was out of office by the time you were born, but was he your first role model and inspiration to get into politics?
Well, absolutely, and I can remember my grandfather, too, who was a Speaker of the Tennessee Legislature.
And Mayor Shelbyville.
Yeah, and Mayor Shelbyville, you got it. So I had 2 excellent role models, but you know, no parent is perfect, no role model is perfect, and I learned from many, many people, including the great Howard Baker from Tennessee and folks like Ned Ray McWhorter and folks like that, because Tennessee's had a very long and proud political tradition.
I saw a picture of you on your Twitter feed of you having your grandson with you on the floor of the House. Are you working on his Cooper genes for politics? Is he going to perhaps follow you into politics one day?
Well, he's definitely a charmer already, so at least he's got me around his finger. But, you know, his mom, Mary, had been a child when I was first elected, so we have pictures of her on the House floor. So it's just kind of continuing the tradition. And I have 2 sons, of course, too, Jamie and Hayes, and I'm so proud of them. So I'm just truly a blessed individual.
You started into politics pretty quickly in life, not long after you graduated from Harvard Law School. Within 2 years, you worked for a Nashville law firm, and then you decided to run for Congress. That was back in 1982 when Tennessee had gotten a new district because we had grown in the 1980 census. But did you know the district, the 4th district you were going into? Because it went all over the state.
Well, the old district was a hodgepodge, but it did include my hometown of Shelbyville. And the good folks of Bedford County were nice enough to support me, as were really the people all up and down the district, because my opponent turned out to be Cynthia Baker, Sissy Baker, Howard Baker's daughter. And I ended up with 2/3 of the vote. I got like 67% of the vote in that district. So I only lost 1 county, and that was upper East Tennessee on the Tennessee border. But people have been super nice to me ever since.
Did Howard Baker give you any grief about defeating his offspring when you got to Washington?
Well, I wish it hadn't developed that way. We were both kind of unknown mystery candidates. The heir apparent was really probably supposed to be Tommy Burnett, who's a very powerful state legislator who also lived in the district, but then he got in legal trouble.
You mentioned this before when you first got into Congress 40 years ago next month. You were the baby. You were at 28. You were the youngest member of Congress. Did it take some time to adjust and learn the ropes? And who were your mentors and who you looked for guidance when you first got up on the Hill?
Well, I was very young, at 28. That's not the youngest in history. I think that record is actually held by a Tennessean named William C.C. Claiborne, who was elected when Thomas Jefferson was president a long, long time ago. And I was very fortunate when I got to Congress. The oldest member of Congress was a guy named Claude Pepper from Florida. And actually, my parents' first date was at a Claude Pepper speech at the Hermitage when he came to speak in Tennessee. He was a younger man then, but I felt very close to him because of that reason.
In looking back on 32 years of Congress, I'm sure the body has changed and evolved. Are things better or are most things worse?
I'm afraid to tell you, Pat, it's gone downhill. When I first got to Congress, Tip O'Neill was the Speaker, and he prided himself on being bipartisan. One of his best friends was the Republican leader, Bob Michael, and he and Bob would go over to the White House to have drinks with President Reagan. So people got along back then. Unfortunately, with Newt Gingrich taking over Congress, a lot of bad habits got started, and those bad habits have continued. And today, our party leaders are barely even on speaking terms. So it's a real shame that the bipartisanship we used to have is no longer there.
When you won your first election, you mentioned you got about 2/3 of the vote. This is a district that's in 5 different media markets. It went from Tri-Cities to the Nashville suburbs. It touched 4 states, Virginia, Kentucky, Alabama, and Mississippi. Did you learn pretty early on that you better be bipartisan?
Absolutely. And you know, most folks who live far from the media markets, they just are common sense folks. They work hard every day to put food on the table. They want a fair solution for them and their neighbors. And that's really all they care about. So I was very blessed to be able to represent them. And then, you know, luckily be able to be Nashville's congressman later on.
Nashville Congressman Jim Cooper is our guest on Inside Politics. Back to continue our conversation with the congressman on the other side of these messages. Stay with us.